what? Fair enough. Obviously, their big piece to move was Goran plus that first round pick. They both go for the Thad Young thing, and of course, it's not just like they gave up a first round pick in a vacuum. They essentially just moved down about 10, maybe 15 spots in the draft, depending on sort of how the season shapes up. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts to this deal? What were the Raptors' motivations? And also, my question mostly is, yes, Thad Young's going to make the rotation. Of course, he's going to make the rotation. But how do the Raptors manage the lineup a little bit? Because to me, there's still some redundancies, I would say, and also some obviously lack of shooting.
That's one way to put it, is redundancies. Yes, your entire bench is 6'8", 6'9" guys, and even more now. Which is, look, it's still, if we're talking depth, adding a guy for nothing, which is what this is in pure roster terms, not asset terms. It's going to help. It's going to do something for you. However, yeah, they don't have, like, if this is where things stand as of, like if they're done, you basically are in a spot where, well, you better give Malachi Flynn another shot. You better give, I don't want to advocate for Svi getting another shot, but Utah better get another shot. Like, you need some sort of non-power forward play off the bench. And don't get me wrong, Thad can do some of that. Like, Thad's been a 90th plus percentile passer as far as big men go. If you want to classify him as a 4/4/5, there aren't many guys that pass as well as him out of like elbow scenarios and as the roll man. And I'm sure you could open up a lot of DHO stuff with his playmaking ability. Mm-hmm. That is not the same thing as having shot creators that your offense can kind of flow around. So I don't really know what the rotation would look like functionally right now. Like, I guess you just keep doing the thing where you make sure one of Fred or Pascal are on the court at all times, and they're kind of the initiator. But like, Will, how many times have you posted screen grabs, or you and I have broke down a play on this show where, OG's in the post and there are 4 guys on him because the Raptors have 2 guys in the dunker and another guy cutting into the paint, or Siakam's getting doubled, and the second he takes a foot toward the rim, there's like 3 extra bodies shading over on him. That's not going to get any better with this. Thad Young does a lot of stuff well. Shooting the 3 and spacing the floor is not one of them. And again, you can get some spacing by like putting the ball in that guy's hands a little bit more, but it still doesn't change the fact that you're one of the weaker and the weakest 3-point shooting bench in the league. And that's not getting any better here. So my initial thought is it doesn't resolve the backcourt situation and your depth there. At the same time, while this isn't sexy and it doesn't plug that hole necessarily, Thad Young, we're like 11 months removed from every contender wanting to get Thad Young off the Bulls.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't know that, the 26 games he played in and out of the Spurs rotation is an indication that he's no longer useful. I think there's real utility there. And then, look, the thing that fans don't really want to hear is you turned Goran Dragic, who wasn't doing anything for you, and you traded down, 10 to 15 spots in the draft. And in doing so, you got Thad Young, who is more useful for you and has bird rights. Drew Eubanks, who, whatever, he fills the last open roster spot. You also created a small to moderate sized trade exception, and you saved $3.5 million, which when you're in your 3rd straight year of hampered revenues because of the pandemic is not nothing. So there are a lot of reasons to do this trade. Just none of them are, hey, your backcourt and your bench looks better now.
Yeah, for sure. And okay. So let's talk about functionally with Thad Young in the lineup. Is he okay? So I guess my question is: so you're a scenario where you're bringing in Thad, Precious, and Chris Boucher. Can they play together functionally together, all 3 at once? Is there a way to make that work? Like, I think defensively, clearly it works. No issue with that. It's just offensively, you're really asking a lot from your main guys. You really are. But I mean, look, your main guys are also scoring like 100 points per game for you these days.
And
so clearly they can do 30, it. But,
that's 33, almost 34. So I don't know. Like, certainly defensively in that iteration you just laid out, the Thad, Boucher, Precious trio, you don't want Thad guarding the 3-man in that setup, I don't think, anymore. Like, I don't know if you trust Boucher with the wing so Precious can still be the pick and roll guy because of his switchability. I'm not sure exactly how you do that. Now, opposing benches probably don't have enough weapons to fully exploit that anyway. But offensively, it's going to be tough, right? Like I just talked about Thad's playmaking, but a lot of that stuff is as the second man in an action. It's not a lot of, hey, the ball's in your hand and you're running a pick and roll with the center. Like he's more of a dot connector than an advantage creator. So I'm a little curious how that's going to work and how that's going to look. I don't think this is the type of move where the Raptors, like, if they haven't come off their starting lineup yet, I don't think this is the kind of move that nudges them to do so. But you certainly got to tweak the rotation patterns and stuff here, because it's very odd to bring 4 power forwards off the bench. Yeah, I don't know. Like I just brought up Thad's synergy stats from last year. And even when he was like a much higher usage, a much more functional player with the Bulls, like he had 4 possessions the whole year that he finished as the pick and roll ball handler.
Right. Yeah.
He's just not running a lot of that, and only 9 if you include passes. So there's just not a lot of. He didn't isolate a lot either. It's you can actually do some interesting stuff with him out of the post, where like some of the OG and Scotty stuff you've been doing, you could just feed to Thad as well. And maybe you turn Scotty into more of a cutter, but those pure bench units, I don't really know where the playmaking is gonna come from, unless you do the, hey, Scotty's off the bench swap at some point, or you just tweak the rotations that way.